Hey, what's up, everybody? Pat here, grateful recovering alcoholic and addict, just like every day. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe, leave the video a like, drop me a comment, and by all means, share it with anybody who might get something out of it. Guys, rather than doing a reading today, we're just going to talk about some stuff. It's been a while since we did one of these videos, and yeah, I think it's long overdue. First of all, happy Sunday, everybody. As you know, for me, Sunday, God's Day. Of course, every day is God's Day, but I love to spend some time reflecting on my week on Sunday, and it's been a particularly good week. Guys, we just crossed over 2,000 subscribers. That's awesome. It's a process. It's a slow growing channel, but it's been a consistently growing channel, and that means the absolute world to me. Thank each and every one of you for spending time with me, guys. I love it. I appreciate it. It's making such a difference in my world, walking these lessons and applying them to my life so I can share them with you guys. And it's literally changed everything about my world. And a big part of that is because I take the time to research and then see how it applies and see what fits and what doesn't. And I keep what does and I let go of the rest. And the one thing that keeps coming back to, guys, is my higher power, God. Now, in conjunction with that, it's it's going to meetings, it's applying spiritual lessons. It's trying to be a better person, trying to fit in the world instead of thinking I'm the example to every, I'm the exception to every situation or every example. And what gave me the topic for this video, actually, guys, I watched a video on it was a documentary on Carl Jung. I'm not sure how to say that properly. He's a Swedish psychologist, and he did a lot of work in the field of addiction, and he truly believed that addiction was the way that God spoke to certain people who have a higher calling or a different mission in life. And a lot of the topics we're going to talk about today came from that video, because guys, when I watched that video, I was literally brought to tears. It was amazing how much he was describing everything I had felt throughout my entire life. And it's because, guys, our perception is our reality. So, you know what I mean? Like, literally, if you decide that you want to be here, all right, they say God's chosen, right? It's something I see a lot online. And when I first started reading, or researching that, I'm like, well, it's awfully cocky to go around thinking I'm chosen above anybody else. And it's not, guys. That's not the case. To be God's chosen is your choice. You decide to become chosen, and then you step into that role. And that's certainly how I see it, and that's what I've decided. And again, guys, perception is reality. So once I decided that, I started looking for ways to apply that to my life. And the more I have, the more I love the person I am, the life that I'm living, and the opportunities and situations that I'm becoming part of. So, what if addiction is the way God chooses to talk to his chosen? Many addicts end up in addiction through a feeling of never connecting with those around them, right? I hear that's something I hear constantly, and I said it myself when I was sharing my experience, strength, and hope. Growing up, I just always felt different than most, and just never felt like the everyday normal situations would draw my attention. Like, as a matter of fact, I early on, and even early on in like elementary school, guys, I was like a CD student, and yet, if you're as old as I am, we used to have these things called ABSAVAB testing, which is the end of one point of every year. I think like 3/4 of the way through the year, they would give you a test, and it was just random material that you were going to be studying in the next upcoming years, but nothing that we had no background of, had no studying of, and I would test off the charts, and to the point where teachers were telling my parents that if I would just apply myself in school, I could be skipping grades, and I was just things came very easily, very natural to me. And again, growing up in an alcoholic household, that was never described to me, and I didn't know why. I just, the regular pace of schoolwork could not hold my attention, and I was thinking I was always like I would always do well in tests, but I just couldn't keep pace with the class, because it was dragging at such a slow pace. It could not hold my attention. It was never described to me as such. I was just told that I was half-assed, that I was lazy. I didn't, and it made me feel like I was less than. And I wasn't, guys. I was gifted, And had I been put into a challenging, something that could hold my attention, was somebody was teaching me at a pace that I was able to learn, or at a higher level that I was able to learn, I could have done incredibly well. And again, not woe is me, this, that, the other. I'm just saying this is something I hear from a lot of addicts, and maybe not the exact same situation, but just one way or another, we never felt like we were just part of that normal crowd and the normal situations. And then we always felt like we were less than, or there was something wrong with us. And guys, it's not necessarily the case. We were just different, and we required different variables or different stimuli to get us to live up to our possible potential. But it's not always given that way. So then we start getting, for myself, I started getting discouraged by just being told I wasn't good enough, I wasn't trying hard enough, and in the exact opposite, yeah, maybe I wasn't, but I was never taught to understand that I had potential to do more. And maybe if it was nurtured in any way, things might have been different. More important than anything, I allowed it to destroy me for many, many years, because I thought I didn't have a chance of living the normal and doing the things normal people did. And then again, my parents had died, and I ended up on my own at the time. I was like 13, 14 years old, trying to raise my younger brothers. So I started acting out, B, trying to hide shit from people, because I didn't want anybody in the town. It's a very small town. I didn't want people to know we didn't have parents, and have adults stepping in and separating our family out. And then my brother, I have one brother that's about a year older than I am. We're trying to figure out how we're going to pay the bills, right? So I started, of course, I give him a lot more credit. He tried, catering and jobs, and I had a job, but it didn't pay shit. I was always a big pot smoker at that point, so I started selling weed, and I started selling mushrooms, and then I was throwing keg parties, because we could make money at the keg parties, and that drew the wrong type of attention to the place where I grew up, my house. So we started having all sorts of police interference, and I started acting out because I had a chemical. I'm an addict. I'm an alcoholic. I'm an addict. From the time I started drinking, I would black out immediately, and having all the stress and anger of not knowing what I was supposed to be doing, not knowing where the light, how long we're gonna keep the lights on, how long we keep our home, this, that, or the other. When I would start to drink, all that stress would come out in just, craziness, right? I would just do stupid shit and scare people off and just act wild and, try to, I don't know what the hell I was trying to do, guys, honestly, because I didn't know. But anyway, I allowed it to destroy me, and addiction does not have to destroy you guys. Once you address the fact that you're an addict, and the earlier you do, the better. Once you address it and understand it's something you need to work on daily, then it becomes the place that you start your rise from. It becomes the benchmark of what you're capable of overcoming, and what you're capable of putting together in life. And that's exactly what I'm doing now. And I mean, granted, I waited a long time to do it. Doesn't matter, guys, because you know what? I'm on the fast track now. Nothing's holding me back, and I've got a record. If you guys have watched the channel for any length of time and you've seen my testimonies, I mean, guys, I've been through everything you can possibly pretty much imagine. I've been sentenced to prison 15, 16 times, like committed, arrested somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 times. I spent 4 years homeless, living on the street. I've died from overdose multiple times. Every shitty situation you could possibly put. And I don't blame anybody else for it, guys. None of what happened as a kid caused that. It was my lack of introspection, my lack of understanding the situation, because that's literally all it takes, guys. When you stop and get completely honest, and you start to pray, and you start to ask for help to the outside world, to your God, to your higher power, you will, if you're earnest and you're honest and you mean it, and you're willing to take the steps required, you're willing to adopt a willingness to take suggestions, you can overcome anything, and you can literally put anything behind you. Everything that I've done in my past has not stopped me from opening a business, getting enrolled to get into a scholarship to Harvard University for online classes, for, whatever, guys, everything, starting my recovery-based YouTube channel. Like, none of my history is stopping me for anything. On the contrary, it makes it that much more powerful what I'm doing, because people see the contrast of where I was at, and they hear the situations that I've survived and now overcome, and I'm not repeating those mistakes. I'm out here building a clientele. On a side note, I got a notification via email yesterday that it's officially been 6 months that I've registered my business. Okay, and guys, I don't like to throw certain things. I keep quiet, but in this circumstance, I'm gonna lay it out there, guys. I talked about this from day one, my very first video. I had just gotten out of rehab. I was, I think, 2 days out of rehab, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I knew I couldn't go back to work. I was still working for the other company at that point. I knew it was a bad situation, but I was like $12,000 in debt just to my landlord, and he had held my apartment, so I needed to come up with, I needed to make some money and get him paid off, and I was going to just allow myself to be stuck in that position. But because I was praying and I was meditating, it was glaringly obvious to me that I could not do that. So I started putting pieces together and looking for outs and ways to get what I needed. And I had the balls to stand up and say so, and be honest with everybody I spoke to about it. And then I got that the Massachusetts Raft help with back rent to keep people from becoming homeless. That was half of the debt that I was in. That got covered. My buddy Doug ended up selling me the truck, and I started doing work for myself. And immediately there, I saw there was an opportunity here. And it was, I was working a couple of days a week, but I was making enough money those couple of days that more than I was making working 80 hours a week before. So I was doing better already. But then as things started to progress, immediately became a problem with the landlords giving personal checks to people over and over, because once you surpass a certain amount of money, then one of you has got to be paying taxes on it, and they don't want to get in trouble. So that forced my issue. I said, well, if I want to continue down this road, I have to do it right, because everything I'm doing has to be right. So I opened my business. And guys, not only am I no longer in any debt whatsoever, I'm not borrowing pickup trucks. As a matter of fact, I ended up buying that Ford F-150 King Ranch. I'm now renting a garage. Never mind that my rent is paid up in full. And again, I've saved, $50,000. Like, that's what I have in my checking account right now. Like, I could never say that at any other point in my life. And it's not because of what I've done, because I've done the same things I've always done. But I've done so with my hand in God this time. I've done so by putting recovery first, making good decisions, not letting anybody take advantage of myself, not letting myself not address my own needs. Guys, it's shocking what has happened in my life today. And it's because of these videos and this spiritual program and the Alcoholics Anonymous program and the Narcotics Anonymous program, Riverside Recovery, the OBAC Clinic at Boston Medical Center. These are all things that I do, and I talk to, and I go to on my therapist, my recovery coach, my recovery advisor. These are things I do every week. Going to the gym has given me 65 pounds in health. My skin, my eyes. Look at my first videos and look at the difference in who I am. And this is because I finally started to look at what addiction really is and how does it apply to me. And one thing I've said over and over again, it's one of my favorite slogans, is I now understand that what I was trying to do is fill a God-sized hole with things, substances, alcohol, drugs, whatever. And it's never going to work so long as I continue to do that. Guys, I got into recovery before, and I would get the good job and say, okay, I just spent 4 years homeless, came to Somerville, I got into a halfway house, got a good job, started making good money, had an apartment for half the time I was in the halfway house, so I knew I was paying for that and getting ready, and as soon as I left that structured environment, within weeks I was using drugs again, because I didn't have a recovery program. I had not understood that it was a me problem, not a situational problem, because no matter what situation I was in, I was bringing that broken version of me with me everywhere I went. But as soon as I started to understand that there was a spiritual malady that I was being faced with, and I was not applying a spiritual solution to it, a spiritual treatment, a spiritual cure, and again, I'm hesitant to say cure because I don't consider myself cured. I will never be cured. Addiction is a lifelong disease, but I never have to suffer from addiction again, so long as I choose on a daily basis to put God first, to put my needs second, and put my recovery and sobriety before anything outside of me. And I say, technically that would be third place, I guess, the way we're counting, right? Sobriety's first, but without God and filling my own needs, I can't have sobriety. I can't have anything. So those are first. My relationship with myself and my relationship with my higher power. I've said that hundreds of times in these videos because it is that important. I like to constantly remind you guys that and remind myself that more first and foremost, guys. Don't ever think I'm up here preaching to you guys without I'm preaching to myself. You know, I'm going over the things that I need to know so I can continue to put a life together, and I'm hoping to share these with others in hopes that you guys will also get something out of it. So once we face the storm of our compulsions, guys, God will start to speak to you if only you're willing to listen. That's why I wrote myself bullet points down. I'm not reading somebody else's material. This is, just sometimes I forget and I lose track and I go off on tangents. As you guys watch my videos, you know all too well, right? How many I go back and watch my videos and I'm like, I'll start to make a point. Oh, let me interject this, and I never go back to the other point. So forgive me, guys. I'm a work in progress. Certainly not perfection by any means. And perfection is a farce. That's, when you strive for, you can strive to be your best self, by all means, and every one of us should. Something else I said a billion times. But when you think nothing but perfection is acceptable, that's an excuse to fail and not get something done, because there's no such thing as perfection, guys. Every one of us are different. We have different variables. But you know what I haven't said in a long time? This is a good one that I love so much. I said so often in the beginning. Every one of us are different, but God makes no two people the same, and God makes no mistakes. Whoever you are, whatever you're doing, you're exactly who and what you're supposed to be. But your actions, well, that's another story. You got to ask yourself that: are your actions in line with who you are and your very best self, your highest self? Are you walking and living your highest timeline? And if you are, kudos. I'm starting to. I don't think I'm there yet, but I'm working on it, and I'm getting closer and closer all the time. And lo and behold, as I do so, things get better and better in my life on literally a weekly, daily basis at this point. Guys, I love these lessons. I love these videos. I love recovery. And that's the thing, guys. I don't hide and I don't run from anything today. I don't hide from anything. One thing I was talking to one of my advisors the other day, and I occasionally make videos for her recovery program, and just, quick little snippets about to say what they've done for me there. And she's like, I got to tell you something. She goes, I watched one of your first videos you sent me and one of the recent ones you sent me, and the biggest difference is the lack of stress lines in your face. And I'm like, makes perfect sense. I used to be stressed out of my mind. I'm no longer today, guys, because I've found the power in surrender. By turning my will over to God, my higher power as I understand Him, I've let go of all stress. I know full well, so long as I get up every day and do things to the best of my ability, forgive myself when I drop the ball, when I make a mistake, when I don't make the best decision, catch it whenever possible and rectify it as soon as I can, apologize when necessary, and just go out and do the best I can every day. Reminding myself first thing in the morning that my sobriety is a gift in prayer, doing my videos at the end of my workday, to set myself up for the night before I go out on my social time on my own, reminding myself what matters and what I have to lose if I go out and make a mistake or go out and hang out with the wrong crowd, and then ending my day in prayer, thanking my God, my higher power, for another day of sobriety, another gift, another day full of opportunities I was able to take advantage of. And then I go into meditation and I get the answers of what I should start applying next to my life. Guys, nothing else has ever worked in my life, and this is working amazingly well. I didn't make a fraction of the bullet points. Maybe we'll continue this another point, but it's getting a little bit long, guys. That's going to be the video for today. 2,000 subscribers and counting. I love each and every one of you. Thank you so much. Guys, thank you for taking the time. I really hope that you're getting something out of these like I am, and I'm going to keep doing them regardless, because I'm getting everything out of these things. I just hope to help a lot of other people along the way. Guys, always remember, God loves you. I love you. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next one.